To order, roll call, please.
Mark?
Here.
James? Brett?
Here.
Eric? Dan?
Yes.
George?
Here.
Barry?
Here.
Sherelle?
No,
Tori?
Sherelle? Not on the line, is she?
Here.
Well, we have a quorum. We will proceed with what we have. Before we get into, just like to point out that item number 3 has been postponed for a month. So if you're here for that one, our apologies that I don't know if enough word got out or not, but it has been postponed to the next meeting, which will be when?
May 21st.
May 21st. But you're certainly welcome to stay for this meeting if you'd like. The minutes are in front of you. What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Michelle, if you're ready, item number 1.
Okay, so item number 1 is LU-0021-26. Michael Horub is requesting an amendment to Chapter 6-10-10.2 of the Williams County Zoning Ordinance and Subdivision Regulations. The applicant is requesting an amendment to the Williams County Zoning Ordinance and Subdivision Regulations, specifically relating to Chapter 6-10, being wind energy facilities. Currently, the zoning ordinance states in 6-10-10.2, all wind turbines shall be set back from existing structures 1,400 feet. A variance for setback may be granted by the Board of County Commissioners upon recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission, provided the permittee and affected landowner sign a waiver agreement. The proposed change would increase the setback distance from existing structures from 1,400 feet to 1 mile. If approved, this change would be for any future wind energy facilities being applied for and not for the 3 current permitted facilities.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we will open the public hearing. Mike, if you want to come up, that would be great. Please state your name for the record when you get to the microphone, if you would, Mike, please.
Michael Horb. And we're just looking for any future developments to have a farther setback than what you have originally in the county ordinance. Because, I mean, we've had talked to a lot of people, and they would like, I mean, what we've talked to, most of them would just like to see no more wind farms, but that's probably not possible. But we'd like just a farther setback from a yard, so a guy don't have to look at one of them every time you look out the window.
Okay, anything further?
No, not really.
Anybody have any questions for Mike? Okay. Mike, I do. I've forgotten, what is the setback now?
1,400 feet.
Thank you. It is a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak to this issue?
James Horb. I'm back.
Jim, can I ask you to pause for just a second? Sherelle's on my phone. Okay. I'll turn it up as loud as it'll go. Does that work for you? Yeah. Does that work for you, Sherelle? Okay, we will proceed. Sorry, Jim. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of the setback. I guess I've been up here before and guess pretty disappointed in the planning and zoning for not listening to our township for that setback that we originally requested on the last wind farm. So I guess this time we're gonna try it again and hopefully it passes.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Any questions for Jim? Okay, we need you, we'll call you back up.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Charlotte Moore. I didn't honestly read what this was before I came here. I was just invited and said I should probably.
Please state your name for the record, though.
I did, Charlotte Moore.
All right, thank you.
I guess I literally the windmills are a nuisance to people's eyes. It's a nuisance to our environment, and our federal government's asking us not to do it. So I would ask that you guys put a moratorium and stop that, and also stop the data centers, so that we don't have any more lawsuits that people need to pay out. And I don't know what the current information is on the windmills. I didn't know we were putting them anywhere near Williams County. So I apologize for that, but I'm just speaking on behalf of whoever was just up here because I side with him.
Any questions for Charlotte? Not at this time? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name's Janice Arnson. I am in support of Jim's proposal as well. I hate seeing these wind farms go up, so I don't want to look at it from our farm. And if we can move it away, I would approve doing that. So I'm here to support that.
Thank you, Janice. Someone else?
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Ryan Wade. I live in Good Luck Township near Grenora. I'm going to hit you guys with a few facts, if you don't mind. This thing happened really fast on us, in our opinion, and we didn't do a good job in preparing for it, but we've had a little time now, and I'd like to share a few things with you. When the wind turbines are spinning, they create turbulence. And with that turbulence, there is a thing called infrasound. I-N-F-R-A-S-O-U-N-D. Infrasound. I would encourage you to become intimately familiar with that. Infrasound is an inaudible sound level that the human ear cannot detect. It is 20 hertz. And what happens is those turbines spin, that turbulence goes behind them, and at or near the ground, that sound, infrasound, carries with it. And infrasound causes numerous different health effects for humans, physiological health effects. And it does it in such a manner and so bad that this current company that's trying to put a wind farm up in our area, Apex, they've been in lawsuits and been sued for it. It's been so bad that it's forced people to move out of their home. And we spoke with a gentleman out of Illinois. He gave us a 70-some page confession on what his experience was and why he had to leave and how it affected his family and specifically his children. He's more than willing to come up here for the PSC meeting, whenever that is, and speak on it. So, you know, a lot of people are, you know, the eyesore, this and that or whatever. But now I want you guys to understand this is becoming a human health issue at this point. And you can't harm people. I can't walk up there and punch any of you in the face. That's assault. You can't put up wind turbines knowing that they're going to harm humans. it's imperative that you guys really consider the setback and like for the future, really consider not having them at all. There's 100 different reasons people could come up here and say, well, I don't like them. They're this, they're that, they're everything. But you can't harm people. You can't intentionally harm people. That's illegal. And it's taken us a long time to gather this information, unfortunately. But it's true, and you guys can look it up. You can Google it. I'm more than happy if you want. You can get a hold of me, and I'm more than happy to send you the packet that I have from the gentleman in Illinois. And I'm just going to show you very briefly here. He had some wind turbines located 2,225 feet away and 3,454 feet away from his house. And those were still affecting him and his family at that distance. Because from where those turbines stand, up to 3 miles behind them or away from them, that infrasound will carry. So in closing, I would ask you to try to find as much information on this stuff as possible. I know everyone has a life. It's hard to keep up with the information. Barry was at the commissioners meeting and they were handed 50-some pages of information that you guys didn't see and they weren't able to review, which is unfair to everybody, including us as landowners and citizens of Williams County. But I would just encourage you guys to try to do everything you can to get all the information that you can. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Questions for Ryan?
Yeah, could you send me that? You have my email.
Yes, sir, I do. I will
Yep.
do that.
Do that.
Any other questions? Ryan, unless somebody else wants to, I'm going to ask a question. Brian, have you had read anything about what happens when these things start on fire, when the generator portion starts on fire?
Yes, I can elaborate on that if you'd like. This is a situation in Iowa where a middle-aged woman signed up and got 2 windmills. And the one completely incinerated itself and the fiberglass blades went everywhere essentially and broke into incredibly small pieces, some almost even microscopic. But the fiberglass had such an effect on that land that it was deemed unfarmable. And again, that was Apex, and sounds like I'm up here trying to beat them with a baseball bat, but that was them again. And they had people that went out and cleaned it up, and they had, you know, some of the USDA folks out there, and they said, this is not farmable land anymore. Again, that's another story that you can Google and find. Oddly enough, she had another one start on fire and it burned to the ground, and it had nearly the same effect on that ground around it. It was a smaller area. Of course, when those blades exploded, you know, they went everywhere a long ways. But those turbines that she had on her land made her land unfarmable, and in turn, that took profit away from her because she had that ground leased, and that individual who was farming it was unable to farm it, so she didn't get, you know, any lease money for those acres that were deemed unfarmable.
What crop were they growing, Ryan?
That's a good question.
Was it
that
corn?
was in Iowa, and as a total guess, I would say corn or sunflowers or beans, but yes.
But I would also guess, though, seeing if it was her land, she agreed to have them there to begin with, though, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
You can easily make that argument.
Right. I mean, it's just wondered.
Any other questions for Ryan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Carla Kucher, and I just kind of want to elaborate more on what Charlotte was saying. I'm for these guys, for the ordinance to be changed, but I'm more for a moratorium. After the crisis that happened out with the data center, You guys really need to dig in more, not for a month, not for 6 months, a year. Really find out what wind farms can do, what data centers can do, what AI centers can do, how it affects our community. The first and foremost important people is those of us living here in Williams County. They should be foremost in your mind, not the money, you know, none of that. Talk to them, go out, visit with the people who live in the county. I live in the county. I don't want a wind farm anywhere near my house. I like my quiet. Most people do. That's why we live out there. Farmers like their farming. It's quiet. So I would just ask that please consider a moratorium. Give yourselves time to research the good and the bad.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody else wish to speak to this issue, this request?
Evening, men, ladies. Hambo and Trowbridge, Byron Trowbridge. I got some property out outside northeast of town here in Williams County. Probably not going to make many friends with this statement, but I got oil wells over there that are ugly enough of an eyesore that I got to look at every time I go out to my property. They're not 900 feet up in the air. Don't know if they cause people harm or not. I wouldn't doubt that they do. It's kind of slamming the oil, but I like to drive my car too, but it is what it is. So I'd like to suggest a moratorium. Thank you. Yeah, do we really need it? And I agree a lot with this gentleman here on what he said. It's like, yeah, think about the people. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any questions for Byron? Anyone else? Anyone else? Third and final time. Not hearing anybody, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, thoughts, wishes?
Well, I guess myself, I don't have any issue with extending the setback. But I did have a question about, so if a person, if that were to pass and it was a mile, but the landowner would be willing to have them closer, is there a variance where they can apply? Or, I mean, would that,
That-
it is, whether you're a participating member or not of a wind farm, if you're a property owner, they still have to be a mile, or is it up to
Nope,
them?
they'd
to let
still
them-
be able to apply for the variance to be able to be closer if they are a participating member. And then they have to have a signed agreement with the company that were to come in for it to be closer than the mile.
Thank you, Barry. Anyone else?
See, I was thinking the opposite, Barry. If you left it the same, if there's a way of writing the variance in to where if a landowner wanted it a mile away, he could issue the variance for it instead of taking the variance away from everybody and having to work it backwards.
Would that not make it more complicated? I mean, wouldn't it, I would think it would be simpler if it was, if the setback was a mile and you're okay with it closer, it'd be easier than it would be to leave it like this, and then everybody's got to try to figure out how far away they want to be from, you know what I mean? Wouldn't it not be simpler to do it?
One thing I'm thinking, okay, so just say for there's 200 people involved in the wind farm. If them 200 people don't have a problem with it being next to their barn, 1,400 feet or whatever, you could leave it. But if you had to go to all them 200 people and have them sign a variance, I'm saying we're working backwards, in my opinion. I mean, I have no problem putting a variance in if a landowner wants it a mile from his place. But to tell everybody else that
Well, I kind
going
of,
backwards, I guess, to me, it's just working backwards.
well, I wonder if it wouldn't be not easier, but it would be, well, maybe easier. But when they, if a new wind farm was going to be sited wherever, if the company that was doing the initial design of it knew that the setback's a mile, so then they would have their, like the Met Towers, and they'd start staging things here at the mile distance. It'd probably be simpler that way. I'm
I'm guessing the mile's gonna shut a wind farm down. I mean, you take a mile every direction from somewhere, you're not gonna get any turbines in.
Just to add to that, the way I would see it working would be like Apex or whoever that would be leasing this wind farm. Let's say they get a group of 100 landowners in a block of land, kind of like what they did with that. So, and if they had a contiguous block of owners within that large block, then it all signed on to their agreement, and they've probably worked that into their agreement to where, say, you're signing on to this, you're willing to take monetary benefit from this, and you're writing in your agreement, you agree that we can set these within the county variance of well, I mean, as it is now, 1,400 feet and whatever it is. But then if all those people are willing to have it closer to that than the 1,400 feet, then to me, it would be that the company's coming to our board and saying, all these folks have signed on. They're all within this area. There's no outliers. Let's say like Dan, let's say Dan, for instance, was somebody like right in the middle of it, perhaps, that was against it, then to me, or you got a couple of them like that, then that would make it harder for the company to come and apply for a variance on the whole block. But maybe it's within the group of, I'm just thinking out loud here of how it could possibly work for the ones trying to do this type of business in the county. But that I would see the company coming to apply for the variance over than an individual coming and applying, say, hey, I signed this lease, I need a variance to have it within so many feet. But I would see the company's going to be coming in front of us with a block of landowners and say, we need this to make our project work. But that's my thoughts. Maybe I confused everybody more.
So if I hear you right, please correct me if I'm wrong. Are you saying that if we had a 1 mile setback, but if somebody was okay with it being closer, they should agree to it being closer, rather than somebody who didn't want there have the burden of having to come in and say, no, I want it a mile away.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think the other thing that what I'm hearing from the public is they're really concerned about these things being near their homes, not necessarily all structures, which our ordinance is written for existing structures. But as we know, like the last wind application we came in contact with, there was a lot of non-used homes or old buildings out there that there were variances granted or provided to the board. But should we also consider, is it 1 mile from occupied dwellings being people's homes, and then the structures you keep the 1,400? Just a thought on that, because it does sound like the concern is very, related to people in their homes and wanting to feel that they have the appropriate distance.
Thank you, Tori. Other commissioner.
Tori, there's got to be something between 1,400 feet and a mile too. I mean, every person out here can have a drilling rig 750 feet from their house, and most of them are benefiting off that. And now we're going to a mile for a wind farm or a wind tower. I don't know. Like I say, I'm not against getting them away from the houses, but a mile to me is the same as just putting a moratorium. I mean, you're going to wreck everything that comes out there.
And that's fair. I'm just using the example of, I mean, we're talking about occupied structures and non-occupied structures, and maybe there's a differentiation that needs to be added in that space.
Mark, I disagree with you because with the size of these towers, I have 3 of them staked 1.75 miles from my yard. But with the size of these, wind towers are completely different from any oil field structure, any tower, because when the turbine is spinning, it catches your eye. No matter if you're trying to not look at it or not, the movement catches your eye. It's part of our genetics that movement catches our eyes. So I think anything closer than 1 mile, if somebody doesn't want them, should be in the rules. And then if somebody's fine with them closer, fine. But there should be some protection for those people who don't want them in their line of sight at all times.
I would agree with that. I think the burden ought to be on the person that wants it closer. You know, if I don't want it that close, it shouldn't take my time and effort to keep it away. Right? I mean, if you're okay with them being closer, that's fine. You go through the trouble to get it closer. But if I don't, it shouldn't take my time and effort to do that.
Cheryl, the problem we're having, there's so much background noise.
Excuse me?
We're in a $30 million building. We can't get some good sound. Never have had good sound in this thing. Okay, where were we at? Barry, were you done? Any other comments?
I guess I'd like to echo to what Tori mentioned with the setback being, I mean, the way this is written, you know, any existing structure, what could that be? I mean, I would think you'd want to at least limit this to occupied dwellings or something of that nature, because existing structures makes that very broad for anybody coming.
It does. I wanted to go back to one of the things that Barry said before I was interrupted. Barry, I think you have it right, because it's your rights that you're trying to protect. You shouldn't have to work to protect your rights. But those people that aren't bothered by it, it's much easier to have them say, no, I'll take it within 1,000 feet, or I'll take it within 200 feet because I'm not there anyway. But I would like to take your question and ask the people here what their thoughts are on that. If the county was to write it where an occupied dwelling or an occupied dwelling for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year, if you stay at your farm all summer long and go to Arizona, would you be good with that?
Permission to approach?
Absolutely. Ryan, please come up.
I can answer your questions. I have children who have ambitions of one day moving back close to us. We have 3 different yards. We live in one of them, and the other 2 are yards that we have taken over where people once lived. Now, nobody lives there right now, but they have power, water, and sewer. It'd be a great place for a young man or woman or family to move in there and start a life. And to be honest with you, we're keeping one of those places just for that fact. I've got a son who's very interested in doing that. And so we're trying not to think just what's in front of us, but what might also be the future. And that might be 5 or 10 years down the road, but it would be easy to place a structure 1,400 feet away from a yard that doesn't have anybody living in it. But that would certainly deter somebody from wanting to live in that yard if that structure is that close. That's why that says any structure, you know, a grain bin, an old building, an old whatever, because it's impossible for you folks to know, well, look at this old rundown place. Yeah, but there's a meter there because there's fans on those grain bins. There's water and sewer there because a guy lived there 20 years ago. It's pretty easy to tap back into that stuff and have a young family or a young somebody move in there and start living there. So I would ask you to not change that. I would ask you to leave that and think about the future of a young couple or a young somebody moving in.
Okay, Ryan, so if we wanted to make a list of parameters that would protect a yard, how would you like that to look? Something that has powers, something that has water, something that could have a sewer or did have a sewer?
That would be an excellent place to start. But there again, you know, I try to be a realist. That would be really tough to find out. I think everyone would agree with that. You'd have to go around every single place and ask landowners and stuff like that. I would love it if we could do that. I don't know how that would work or how you would get that information in a timely manner, but that would be great. To these guys' point, I would like to leave it up to the landowners. If you want to put one 1,000 feet from your house, yeah, go ahead, by all means. I don't see anything wrong with that. But don't impede on me. That's not fair to me. Guys, I'm paying $30,000 in land taxes. Why is it okay for someone else to tell me that they can put something that close to my stuff, right on the border? Can I come do that to your house? Can I come do that to your yard? No. And just remember, all these wind farm folks, I had a list here one time. There's a lot of people that don't live here. They don't vote. Everybody sitting here probably votes in Williams County.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Ryan? Thank you for coming up. Okay. Commissioners, any other questions? How do you wish to proceed?
I would make a motion to approve the variance as stated by staff, right? Does that sound good?
The amendment.
Or the amendment, yes, there you go.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I believe there's gonna be a whole bunch. How do you, and while I agree with these people, how do you go about denying the fella on the other side of the property line his right to capitalize on his own investments?
My bigger concern, Barry, is if you got an abandoned farmhouse, is that a structure?
Well, there was, I mean, at one time there was something every 40 acres, right? I mean, we got over by where I live. I mean, there's an old Caraganda row or some trees. I mean, they're all over the place, right? So somebody used to live there. I mean, there's nothing there now, but I mean, there is established trees. So is that going to be a or is that going to be part, considered a structure? Or I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a pile of discussion over this, but
That's why I was more hoping to table it and come up with some wording in here that makes sense. Because right now, we're just opening a can of worms. If you're saying a mile from anything, any tree row, any abandoned farm, anything there, you're shutting everything down.
well, I'm just reading into the mud here, but I'm myself, I would say just down the road from me, I mean, there's an old shelter belt that used to be a place. There's nothing there now. I would say that doesn't, that's not a structure, right? That's what I would think.
That's what I'm saying. You say that, but
You-
who's
r-
gonna clarify what's a structure and what's not the way it's written here?
I don't know.
And I just see this
much
coming
about-
back to bite us in the butt bad.
Well, it's,
Don't get me wrong. I agree that we should do something here, but it's gotta be written a lot better than what it is right now.
well, I guess we get to start somewhere, right? Might as well start at the bottom.
Any other comments? There's got to be a way to put some parameters together to protect the people that need protection out there.
I mean, would it be worth it discussing possibly tabling this? I mean, I know we have a motion on the floor in a second, but maybe running this by council and seeing how they would suggest this be worded and then put this back in front of, bring it back for vote the next time as it's newly presented. And that's a thought I have.
Keeping in mind that this is just the first step.
Yeah, I certainly like the idea of tabling it, and we could do some more research. I mean, I think we could also we have excellent GIS mapping individuals with the county, I imagine. And so maybe getting some radiuses and some scenarios on where this fits and really thinking it through might be a good idea.
Cameron, go ahead, please.
I appreciate the comments. Cameron Heimer, Development Services Director, Williams County. Sometimes Michelle and I discussed this a little bit. One of the similar situations we have is such as with data centers and their setbacks. We had one that was proposed, didn't come through in the county, and we had a farmstead that we weren't sure if it was occupied. It was pretty tough. We do staff site visits. Staff will go out there, take a look at some of the homes. And we wound up, I believe, getting a hold of that property owner, and they said, no, we don't occupy it. The home's been empty for 50 years. That is a little tougher. We do have to hit the ground, do site visits to see. And then we as staff, it can be difficult, have to make the determination if we felt occupied or not. It's a lot easier in the winter. We'll look for tire tracks in the snow, things like that. However, for like structures, the way that staff has looked at it, if it's a new structure or a recent building, we tie that to a building permit. So like any occupied dwelling would have a building permit. So we would consider that as a structure as per the ordinance. Typically small sheds, they don't require a building permit. So that wouldn't be excluded or be included within that setback. So we really look at what has been permitted through the county. But again, it is difficult for some of these old farmsteads to determine whether or not they're occupied. And it's kind of been a gray area. Sometimes if we do miss one, we'll find out when we send out the 1 mile notifications, they go to the tax statements on record. So folks don't live there, it usually goes to their PO box, or most of them are in Arizona, it seems like. And so it'll go down to Arizona. And then we will get a call from them saying, hey, I live there 6 months out of the year, or I don't. But it's never a guarantee. It's a very difficult thing to try to determine if some of those farmsteads have been occupied or are occupied.
You could put the burden of proof on the applicants. I know with oil and gas permits for occupied structures, there's rules around 500 feet, 1,000 feet, and 1320 for oil wells specifically. And the state requires the operator to send in correspondence that they talk to the landowner and verify that it wasn't an occupied dwelling. So just suggestion there if we do look at that.
I think that's a great suggestion, and probably easier on staff is that the applicant or the company would need to determine whether someone's there or not. And they usually will have folks come out and actually, as you know, reach out to the property owners, go to their homes and talk to them. And it's a lot easier for them usually to make contact.
Yeah, and it certainly has the applicant then foster those relationships with the landowners too.
Correct.
Questions for Cameron? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if we wanted to proceed in a different direction, we have two options. We can vote on the motion as seconded and either approve it or defeat it, or the motion could be withdrawn and the second could be withdrawn, and then we could start over. So how do you wish to proceed from this point, folks?
I'm good with what we got going.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark.
No.
Brett,
No.
Tori,
No.
Dan.
I have a quick question. So Barry, you're good with a mile variance or mile setback?
I am, and the 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 future applicant, it will be, we put the burden on him to get a hold of the landowners, like Tori was talking about, and they will come up with an agreeable solution to it. You know, that there's no good reason that it should be someone that's. I don't think you should have to defend your position when someone else wants to do it. It should be up to them. So.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Yes. So we end up.
I believe it's a tie.
Motion carries. Or it's a tie.
It's a tie.
Motion fails. Somebody else wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? So as that part of that motion, would you consider then tabling it and putting a committee together, or asking the commissioners to put a committee together? What are your thoughts, Tori?
Is it just like the first option, Dan, is that having planning and zoning put a committee together? I didn't understand the two options.
Well, if we're going to table it, are we going to bring it back at our next meeting? Are we going to pursue it through a committee? What is your plan?
I think we should pursue it through a committee and vet it a little further and then bring it back.
Okay. Any other comments? Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Mark had seconded it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, I apologize, folks, but there's so much background noise with the air handler behind me that sometimes I can't do anything but read lips up here. Motion carries. Thank you.
So
Everybody, thank you for coming in.
I-
Cameron, did you have something else?
I have a question.
Please, Barry.
Who and when are we putting this together then? That's
I think Cameron has an answer.
good.
Well, that's
No, I think
kind of the question I was going to ask, because it's a committee. It'll be considered an open meeting, which is going to be a public meeting if it involves 2 or more commission members. And so, yeah, as staff would just be looking for direction on who would set those folks that would be on that committee, and what we would need to do as staff to prepare for that. Little direction, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Tori, you made the motion. What are your thoughts? How would you like to see it set up?
You're saying staff could work on it and you just need direction on that, or I need to pick 2 commissioners to be on it?
Well, since the motion and the vote was to form a committee, then it would not just be staff. If it was just staff, it's something that we'd work on internally, but with a committee, it'd be a public meeting. And so if it includes 2 or more planning commission members, if it's just staff and a commission member, then we can still work on it internally, but a committee would be an open public meeting. So as staff, we would need to prepare for that. We'd have to advertise for that public meeting, and then we'd have to know who would sit on that committee.
I think we could find a commissioner to work with staff and then bring it back to this commission and do another public meeting here is kind of my thoughts, but certainly defer to the board's decision.
Mark?
We used to do a lot of these meetings back in the day. We haven't done them for years now. Didn't we have like 2 from the county commission, 2 from planning and zoning?
It's been some time since we've had a full committee like that, so I can't recall exactly who was on the committee. But we have had instances in the past where when we've talked about possibly having a committee, our legal counsel has advised us that it needs to be a public meeting if we're going to have 2 or more. I believe I'm not an attorney, but I believe it's 2 or more members on the board. If they join in on that committee, it would therefore be a public meeting. Now, we are able as staff to work directly with a portfolio commissioner who happens to sit on this board, with Commissioner Ramberg. That wouldn't be considered what would be an open hearing because we work with him all the time because that is our department. But if we're going to actually create a committee, then it would need to be advertised for and have a hearing.
Mark, and you probably remember this, at the height of the craziness, we did a lot of ad hoc committees, and the city of Williston still does them because they're busier than we are. But yeah, that was quite common at that time, where it would be a couple of planning and zoning commissioners and the staff, and we tried to make a plan.
I mean, check with Karen, but back in the day, they always told us if we didn't have a quorum, that it didn't have to be advertised. But maybe something's changed from that.
I will say I'll double check with legal counsel. Yep, I'll write a note to do that. I've just had some other conversations where in the day, to make sure we're doing it correctly and properly. I think that's what I've been told, but I will certainly check with Karen. And if that is the case, do we want to just preliminary set if 2 members want to sit on that so we know to go that direction, so we don't have to come back in May to decide and then wait again to make a decision, or if that makes sense?
Well, how about if we do this? We'll agree to put the committee together. We'll see which commissioners can be available, and we'll certainly let the public know. And if there's a couple people that are here tonight, either for or against, want to be part of that meeting or part of that committee, let us know.
I would think it'd be important to have the applicants there as well, since they are the ones that applied to have this done. So.
Okay, there's already some hands that went up in the back.
Yeah, because I'm thinking it should be an open meeting, right? So we get, everybody involved.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Right.
Okay, are we good? We got a plan? Okay, that's what we'll do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all to all of you who came forward and took the time to come in tonight. Our next item.
Okay. I had to double check I had the right one. Okay, so this one is LU-0022-26. Jim Stover and Brad Stansel are requesting a variance for a newly created parcel to remain in the agricultural zoning district. This is in the southwest of the Northwest and Government Lot 4, located in Section 4, Township 155 North, Range 101 West, being Missouri Ridge Township. The township has recommended approval on this item. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision which will create 2 lots. The parent parcel is approximately 81.35 acres and within that agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 66.35 acres and 15 acres. The larger lot will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting a variance for the 15-acre lot to also remain in that agricultural zoning district. Purpose of the minor subdivision is to separate out a smaller lot to be sold to Jim Stover, who will then build a single-family residence within the property. Access to the subject property will be taken off of 60th Street Northwest. The minor subdivision is currently going through the review process with the necessary county departments. The lots will be known as MS 26-0010 and MS 26-011. Recordation of the plat will be contingent on the approval of the variance.
Any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? If there's no questions for staff, I will open the public hearing. Please state your name into the microphone, please.
I'm Jim Stover. I'm just looking to separate this out, move back to town. Want to live out of town. I'm not a big fan of living in town. don't want to move to the farm too far out of town for my wife, so just planning on a single family home, me and my wife on the back half of this property. And
Okay, any questions? Michelle, what is the statute for an agricultural portion? 40 acres?
40 acres, yes.
Maybe Mark, maybe you're gonna ask the same question. I'll let you go ahead.
Is this, do you farm out there, I guess, I mean, or you're just gonna live out there or what?
I just plan on living out there, but fencing it off and running cows down to the bottom. A cow or two in the bottom. We didn't, so that's the main reason for it, I guess.
What is the downside of it just all being a residential lot without having to have a variance for less than 40 acres? I was asking the applicant.
Yeah, I am unsure.
He doesn't own the whole lot, so it's owned by someone else. So they're just looking to separate a portion of it to be sold to him.
I do understand that, but the point I'm making is, if we are going to allow smaller than 40 acres parcels, it's a bad precedent to set for someone that just wants to build a house and run a few animals by filling the whole county with small lots. Or you could have a series of lots, and basically you could have a subdivision of all 15, 17, 20 acre parcels of agricultural land rather than it just being a residence.
Well, I'm guessing it's probably something to do with the price of land. I mean, not everybody can, go buy 40, 60 acres at the current price of things.
And Barry, I understand that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he can certainly do those same things on a residential lot of that size, can he?
Correct. We could do a zone change rather than a variance. We could do a zone change to rural residential. We've done that in the past. Sometimes it's not looked kindly upon and you'd rather see it done as agricultural and leave it so it's not showing just like random bits of rural residential. So it's kind of, we just present what we think may work the best in the area, being it's all surrounded by agricultural, but you are more than welcome to change it to a zone change to rural residential. It would make no difference. There's no difference in cost, no difference in how we do this. It would just be a change in from a variance to a zone change to rural residential. If that's something you guys would rather see.
Well, I think that's a better approach. And we've had, for your benefit, we've had a lot of people come in over the years, and one of their children's coming home and they will cut out a piece of land as part of their farmstead or next to their farmstead and make it rural residential, and all those things are still allowed. But I'm just trying to protect the whole countryside being single family homes, especially with the cost of land.
Understood.
Is there any homes out there, Michelle?
Not particularly right here. Off to the east, there are some homes.
Yeah, there's one farm up to the northwest too. Yeah.
Directly west of the Windsong development out there, and a little bit to the south. I think you're straight south of the old Andre farm, if I'm correct on the map.
I do believe this is it was Holmes land. Tommy Holmes was the owner of this before Brad bought it.
Any other questions for the applicant? Anybody else wish to speak to this one? Thanks for coming up. We have more questions. We'll call you back.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Third and final time. I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid. Thank you.
Not if we do rural residential, correct? And And if it matters not, I mean, it doesn't make any difference for as far as use goes. It's just whatever's wrote down on the paperwork. So I would make a motion to approve to change to rural residential.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Mark, comment?
You take every piece of land and we start dividing it again, we're gonna get in that same trouble we had 10 years ago where everybody wanted to cut every corner for 5 acres.
Well, you know, maybe, I guess, I don't know, we'll see, but not everybody wants to live in town, and you can't afford the way things are, you can't afford to buy a quarter, so we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
No, motion carries.
Hey, can I ask a question to staff? So now when we
Yes.
tabled it, we're gonna make a committee. Any future development that's in the works is obviously on hold until we figure that out, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I meant to
Yes.
ask that
Yes,
while
it would
we're on
be.
that
Yeah.
topic, but
Okay, so the next one we have is LU-0025-26. Dustin Mortensen with Archon Earth Construction is requesting a conditional use permit for a gravel pit within the agricultural zoning district. This is located in the southwest, except deeded parts of Section 9, Township 156 North, Range 102 West, being Cow Creek Township. Cow Creek Township is governed by Williams County, so no comment was solicited on this project. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to open and operate a gravel pit on the subject property. The subject property is approximately 158 acres and within that agricultural zoning district. According to the applicant, the topsoil will be stripped and stockpiled in 20-acre increments. Once the gravel products are removed and processed, the property will be reclaimed by spreading topsoil back over the area and seeding it back into grass. The applicant does plan to hire a third party to come in and give recommendations for weed management, which could include chemical spraying and or mechanical equipment to keep the weeds down. Access to this subject property is taken off of 145th Avenue Northwest, which is also known as County Road 11.
Or even County Road 1.
Did I go too far?
Yeah, there was an extra one there. That's okay. Any questions for Michelle other than what road it's on?
I say Michelle or Dan, but I'm assuming County 1's 105.5.
Yeah.
You wrote that? Oh, okay.
Any questions for Michelle? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Is the applicant here?
Do you need it zoomed in at all? You guys, did you need it zoomed in so you could see it better? No?
I thought it was a voice from above. Kevin, please come up. State your name into the microphone if you would, please, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Mischke. I own the land there. It's gonna go right underneath the old man's thrashing. Oh, I suppose you can't see that. So where it kind of hooks up there, you'll turn right before the bridge, and you'll turn in there, and then it'll go kind of down in the nook of the creek there, and then he also looked kind of on the other side of the creek, right on the north side of the old man's house there too. So they're still kind of looking around there to see some there. What he's planning to use it for is for the aggregate to pave County Road 1 from the County Road 8 there to the south. So I think it'd be kind of cool, you know, to live there my whole life and then pave the road with it, right? So, but yeah, that's it, guys.
Okay, any questions for Kevin? Kevin, so if I heard you correctly, then County One's going to be paved this summer. So they're looking, basically the county is looking for aggregate from somewhere and Dustin's just trying to provide it. Is that what's going on?
I did something to that effect. Yeah, he's gonna bring in. He brought someone out. I can't remember him. They're gonna crush it, and whatever. And I learned a lot about gravel. Apparently, gravel has to have integrity, and they like it in that area because it's got some clay in it, which makes it stick together. Again, I barely know what I'm talking about here, so that's what they like about that gravel. And
But they do, and you've already dug quite a few test holes out there, or
Yeah.
they have,
they have, yeah,
and they have obviously found something they think will work.
they have, yep. It's down a few feet or whatever, and they're gonna strip it off and pile it up and stuff.
So if the gravel pit was approved, then you would only be a half a mile away from where the project starts. So
Yeah.
that would be a great benefit to everybody out there.
I think so. You know, you wouldn't have to haul it so far or haul so far to go get it or whatever to get the gravel. Yeah. So I think it'd be kind of cool.
Okay, any other questions for Kevin? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Anybody else wish to speak to this issue? Third and final time. Close the public hearing. What are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve with staff comment.
And a second.
Second.
Any other comments? Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mark,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori. Yes. Barry,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so the final thing we have tonight is LU-0026-26. Jeff and Kathy Barda are requesting a variance for the side setback within the agricultural zoning district. This is located in the northeast of the southeast of Section 6, Township 154, Range 95 West, being Dry Fork Township. We've not heard anything back from the township on this item. The applicant is requesting a variance from the side setback within the agricultural zoning district. In 2024, the applicant was approved for a reduction in the section line setback from 133 feet to 33 feet, which is the closest allowable per North Dakota Century Code. Since that time, they have petitioned the Williams County Board of County Commissioners and were able to close a portion of that section line between sections 5 and 6. With the closure of the section line, the setback from the side property line is 20 feet. The applicant is requesting a reduction in the side setback from 20 feet to 2 feet. This request does not qualify for the county administrative variance process, as the reduction request is larger than the 25% allowable through that process. The purpose of this request is so the applicant can build a detached garage on the subject property. Access to the subject property is taken off of North Dakota Highway 1804.
Any questions for Michelle?
So the 2 foot is, so when they close the section line, who gets the land on the section line, or is it just this 2 feet isn't from the center of the section line, is it?
No, it's now considered just a property boundary line, so it would be 2 feet from that property line.
From the property line, okay.
And I believe they own both sides of it anyhow. Yeah.
Yes, they own the one side, and I think it's actually their daughter. So, but yes, pretty much them. Yeah.
Other questions? Barry, if the county closes the section line and somebody comes in 20 years from now and wants it opened, county can reopen that section line, correct?
You know, I don't believe that's I don't know the answer to that. I don't think it's ever happened.
Well, going back to Mark's question, the statutory easement of a section line or the congressional easement would still be there, even if they were allowed to build within 2 feet.
I never really thought about that. I guess there is a few places around that has some that been closed for, you know, probably longer than I've been around, and we've not done it. But I know the Corps got to close a whole bunch.
Yeah, but they can also walk on water. No, everything that's ever been dealt with that I was aware of with the county was closing them, and then are fighting to keep them open. I guess people who hadn't closed them. Let me rephrasing that. But there's never been traffic on it.
No. It and well, never's a long time, but I don't see anything happening around there. I mean, with the topography, it's not going to happen. But
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same table. Okay.
So Barry, like the two ends are rough terrain where you can't drive through there. There's no access to it or anything then. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else wish to speak? We close the hearing. We haven't opened it yet. Anybody want to speak to this? Any comments? Please.
I'm Jeff Borda, the person that put in the request. The biggest thing is we want to be able to use our property. When we put the house in, we didn't know that we could close the section line and get rid of that 33 foot or the 133 we started with. We got the variance to 33. Since then, I found out by closing the section line, I could get rid of 33. It's the middle of my yard. It's my property. I'd like to have the setback so I can put my garage where I'd like to. And as Barry stated, he's been down there. Even when we had it surveyed, the surveyor had a tough time even walking it. There's no way he could even watch that second line because we had that all mapped out. No one will ever build on it. If they do want to come back through legislation and open the section line, they'd have to buy a lot of rough property. They can buy my buildings and nose them down and have the 33 foot back. So, any questions of me?
Questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, cool. My name's Jeff Beckman. I'm the county surveyor. I'm just kind of coming to observe these meetings. It's nice to meet you guys. But so once you vacate, or we got rid of that section line road, it's now their private property, and so going back on it would be very difficult, right? It would be a taking almost sort of a situation. So that's all. I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you for coming up and answering my question.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Can we close the public hearing now? What are the wishes of the board?
I would make a motion to approve following staff comments.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Cameron, please.
Sorry, I'll make this brief, and I was just trying to clarify. Commissioner Ramberg, your question was if somebody were to apply for a wind farm. So our understanding, or my understanding of that, is if somebody were to apply right now, they would be able to, and it would still fall under our current ordinance. There's only two ways that we could deny an application, is if one, it's not a defined or a listed use in our ordinance, or they don't meet the requirements, or if there's a moratorium in place. So we could not deny an application because the motion was to table the setback distance request.
Correct, but now that our ordinances are in question, how would they even be able to start applying when they don't know what the setback may or may not be in the future? So I'm assuming they would get set off to the side until we get this ordinance figured out.
If we didn't currently have an ordinance in place, that would be correct. But because we do have an ordinance that defines the setback, as staff administratively, we could not deny their application. Now, I'm not saying no one could show up. We haven't been approached by any companies, so we're not aware of any. But I just wanted to make
I meant
sure.
to ask that question while we were still on that topic, but it, so.
And currently, we don't even have anyone who's done like a pre-application, which is the first
And
step.
that would take a
So they'd have to do a pre-application, and then we would tell them all of the requirements set forth by the ordinance, and that normally it takes, I would say that 4 to 6 months for the applicant to go from the pre-application meeting to be able to even apply. So
I just wanted to
If that
clarify. I
helps.
didn't want, to wonder, well, why is there an application? We just wouldn't be able to deny it if we have an ordinance in place, and we do. So, okay, thank you.
So why are we getting hammered so bad on this one when we have never had a feedback number one on the Lindahl farm?
good question. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I heard, when they came in for that extension on it, we thought we were gonna get hammered that night. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody said anything bad about it. And now this one's come in and, man, it's just been a fight from the day one.
Yeah, and I believe it was what Lindahl was first and then Aurora. And yeah, I mean, I haven't been up there in this position as long as others, but I have not received any negative comments about it since I've been up
But
there.
but the first
I
one,
would guess like the Lindahl, the first one, the Lindahl one, everything inside the footprint of the wind farm was a participating. They didn't box anybody out in the center of it that didn't want, everybody inside the borders was on board with it. So, it's not too hard to agree when everybody agrees.
But even their expansion, I think their expansion was bigger than what the original farm was. I mean, yeah. Just gonna,
which one was the original one, Michelle?
I believe it was Lindahl was first and then Aurora was second. And I believe that Aurora, when that was coming through, they had to fix and finish things that were still left open on the CUP from the Lindahl before they could advance with the Aurora permit.
There were liens put on the property owners that I think that's changed at the state level. Law was changed that affected property owners that didn't even have towers. We had an employee that actually had no towers on their land, but there was a lien placed on it because they were part of the group that was, I can't recall what the terminology is there, but they've changed a lot since. And so, yeah, they did have to finish that before they could start their second wind farm.
Yeah, because the first one that came through north of Tioga, there's people up there that still don't talk to each other. There were families split. That was a bloodbath on that one.
I think 2016, I believe 15 maybe.
Yeah, I want to say maybe 2015 was Lindahl and 18 was Aurora. I just threw my
Right.
sticky note away last week, so.
Okay, anything further? What is our May meeting date?
The 21st of May. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to?
administratively, you should be able to. Bucks, we make little bucks.
I'll second. Thank you. Well, and what was the motion, George? To adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.